All righty, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Comments for the Peanut Gallery podcast. This episode is brought to you by MyFit Foods of Denver. Eat fit, live fit, give a fit. Make sure that you go to www.myfitfoods.com. Use the promo code Peanut Gallery in the checkout. Make sure that you get a little bit of value there on the back end. We have a special guest in the house with us here today. We have my man, Joey Vonblankenburg. Joey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. You know, it's cooling down a little bit here in the Mile High, but we're getting teased with winter weather at this point.
Yeah.
Usually we've had snow by now. We've had a couple of winter storms.
Yeah.
We really haven't had any snow. We've had a couple of cold days, but I'm kind of up in the air about how all that's going. How about you? How's everything going in your neck of the woods?
Good. I mean, it's Hawaii, so we have a pretty consistent like 70 to 80 usually. Usually when it gets about low, like 70s, people start putting on their cold jackets. This is like wintertime in Hawaii is 70. That's cold for us. So it's
Yeah, which
nice.
was my exact transition of, my man is out there on the island. So,
Mhm.
it's perfect weather. It's
Oh, yeah.
paradise out
Oh, yeah.
there.
God, yeah, it's beautiful. I'm lucky.
Definitely, my man. So we're right off the rip. Where can people follow you?
On Instagram, 808 Joe. It's kind of got the first one on there, the first 808. So
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
And so you've got a fight that's coming up here in a couple of weeks on
Mhm.
December 11th out in
Mhm.
Missouri for Nemesis Fighting Alliance 8. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the details on your matchup? How can people follow along with can they stream the fight? Anything along those lines?
Yeah. I'm fighting wrestler Sam Knights. He's I think he was 13-1 as an amateur, and he's 1-1 as a pro. So really good wrestler, really good. Seems really well rounded. I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I feel like it's a good comeback fight for me. It's my first fight in 2 years, so something I've been looking forward to. A good test, and I believe they're going to have a stream for Nemesis Fighting Alliance. I'm not too sure, but I believe they're going to have a pay-per-view stream if you guys want to watch the fight. It's going to be,
Nice, very
yeah.
nice. Now, speaking of the apps to the two-year layoff, is that due to COVID? Is that
Oh,
because
yeah.
of injuries, or what was that due to?
It was just COVID. I mean, as soon as it happened, I was just about to fight, and which was I think March 2020, and then I got injured, and right after I got injured, they shut down everything on the island. So for like a good, pretty much 2 years, there's still no events going on. They're kind of just opening back up right now. Like they just allowed bars and gyms to be at full capacity. So I think hopefully indoor events will start coming because they started allowing outdoor events, right? But the indoor ones have been on a standstill.
Gotcha. So that, I mean, I guess that's really something that some of us stateside have taken for granted, I guess, to a certain extent, is you guys out there have had a lot more strict guidelines or
Oh yeah.
protocol that you've had to adhere to and follow along with. So what was it like trying to navigate training and just putting together developing your game during those times where you couldn't necessarily have those same sort of training sessions as you always had?
Mhm. It was hard. I mean, you definitely had to kind of go back to just like a super basic, like backyard kind of style. It's kind of like how I started. So you just kind of, I actually would had my wife, I would have her hold pads for me, or like I would have to put on like shin guards so I could practice my kicks on her and stuff. Yeah, so it was we had to really go back to the basics, but it was fun. I mean, they had like Zoom classes and stuff too, right? So I was doing Zoom online. Then I was actually lucky. I had a couple of friends. He like set up a little makeshift cage out of a trampoline in his backyard. So we
Okay.
actually for a while we were doing our rounds in there, and then just a lot of improvising, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, where there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Of course. All you need is
So
a body.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Let's take it back to the roots a little bit here. What made you get into fighting?
Um, I actually started doing jujitsu. So I did a lot of tournaments, stuff like that. And then I don't know, something like I always enjoyed watching fighting. I always enjoyed the competition side of it and like the more so the testing your skills. And I kind of wanted to see if the stuff I was learning was actually applicable in a situation. It was pretty much just out of like a curiosity. I wanted to see like, oh, does this work? I wonder if, like everything I'm learning, can I do it to another person? And then I actually started off with they had this thing called triple threats. So it was like the first round is kickboxing, second round is boxing with takedowns, and third round is just grappling. So I did a couple of those for my first few amateurs. And then from there, I just kind of my coach said, he's like, after your first fight, we'll tell you if you had fun, we'll do it again. If you hate it, we're not going to do it again. And like, I was just smiling as soon as I got out of the cage. So it was a good experience.
When did you start getting into jujitsu? You know, at what age did you come to think that, hey, this is a thing that I want to kick the tire on and try to pursue?
I was 18 when I started doing jiu-jitsu. And
Okay.
then when I started, I had my first MMA fight when I was 23.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been a journey.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Now, in terms of at least just MMA, you know, being a fan or following along, was it something that you followed along with for a while
Oh
prior
yeah,
to jumping into, or you know, because some people it's like, well, I never really followed too much, and then I saw it one day, liked it, and decided to go the next week. Or
yeah,
for some, you know, like yeah, I was a fan, you know, almost my entire life growing up, and then just finally got into it once I got older.
yeah. I mean, it was kind of just. I mean, it's weird because where I was from, it's kind of like you fighting was just kind of how you would like handle, if you didn't like somebody, you have a fight with them and then you shake hands and you're all good. So it's kind of just something I grew up with too. And my mom said like she brought me to a couple of fights down here when I was younger. They used to have these things called the super brawls.
Mhm.
So she said she brought me a couple of those. I don't really remember, but I feel like it's somewhere in there.
Definitely. Well, I mean, just in general, it's very well known that I mean, like scrappas, that's Hawaiian culture right there, you know,
Oh
and
yeah.
ready to go out there and bang it at any time, you know.
Yeah.
So I just that's where I'm always curious, you know, like most of the time it's a thing that you started growing attached to or having at least an appreciation of as a kid. And
Oh yeah.
for some, it's just a matter of it's not a matter of if you get into it, it's just a matter of when,
Yeah.
as far as life growing up in Hawaii.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not for everywhere, but I guess, for some parts with like the really local culture, there's like there's two sides. You see like touristy side and you have like the local culture. And I feel like that was kind of just ingrained in it, at least for me, where I was, right? It was just kind of a normal thing to fight with
Yeah.
somebody. Yeah, it was just kind of it was exciting. I mean, I feel like it was definitely all around it and it kind of primed me to get started with it. Definitely.
Everybody that I've met from, or all the guys that I met or trained with or came across from Hawaii, every single one of them's tough. Every one of them's tough, and
Oh yeah.
every one of them doesn't have an ounce of quit in them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's ingrained in there. Yeah. It's a mentality too. I think so.
What's that? It's the mana. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Amana is like the energy you get from the land, from the island. It's a real thing. You can feel it. There's like places where they've had like the ancient warriors, they've had like really big battles there. And if you go to that place, it's like you can feel the energy of that place. It's crazy. It's hard to describe, but it's a real thing.
That's awesome, man. Like Hawaii's on my bucket list of
Oh,
places
nice.
to visit.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to get out there, just never have up to this point. But
Yeah.
you know,
You gotta come visit.
if you were to say something, you know, like because obviously it's a different perspective growing up out there versus you know what a lot of us get stateside. Just everything all the way down to the culture, the way of life, everything.
Mhm.
What is the most undervalued or underappreciated aspect of growing up and living out in Hawaii?
Let's see. I'd say like just I feel like it just makes you humble here. It makes you appreciative. It's kind of you're on a small island. You kind of can't really do too much. I don't want to say bad things, but you kind of, it's like word, it's a small island, word gets around quick. I feel like definitely the humbleness and the friendliness. I feel like if you give respect to people for the most part, they'll give it back to you. You can just kind of walk around, smile at somebody, and like you'll have somebody walk up to you and just start talking to you just because they want to talk to you, just to kind of have fun. I feel like stateside, sometimes you don't really have that. People kind of look at you weird if you start talking to them, like, who's this guy? Why is he smiling at me? Or
That's
something
fair.
like that. Yeah, yeah. Let's see
Totally
that.
fair.
Yeah,
Totally fair. It's
yeah.
a whole lot of what are you looking at?
Yeah,
Sort
exactly.
of thing goes on. Yeah, yeah, definitely. What's up, Peanut Gallery? I want to talk to you guys real quick about a service that has helped make the convenience factor in my life go through the roof. I'm talking about MyFit Foods. MyFit Foods is healthy, ready to eat, fresh cooked meals that are prepared just for you. They're fresh, they're tasty, they're affordable because eating should not be complicated. We've all got to do it, so we might as well put clean fuel into our bodies. At MyFit Foods, they use low glycemic carbs, heart healthy fats, lean proteins, antioxidant rich spices to help you get the best results. There's over 50 freshly prepared menu items every single day, guys. So you can get great results by getting your food at MyFit Foods. Some of my favorite things are the peanut butter and chocolate bites. The Hawaiian beef is phenomenal. I could just mow through that entire thing. It's gone in like 2 seconds. So make sure that you check out MyFit Foods. Order it at myfitfoods.com. Eat fit, live fit, give a fit.
Quick question for everybody out there. Who enjoys getting injured after taking a pop to the chops? Well, as someone who spends multiple hours per week speaking into a microphone, I know I don't. And I especially don't have the time to be making unnecessary trips and visits to the dentist's office. That's why I trust my oral protection needs to Impact Mouthguards. Impact Mouthguards offers custom molded, custom fit solutions for everything from mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to powerlifting and nighttime products. Impact Mouthguards merchandise lineup offers things for both the badass beauties and the bearded badasses out there. Everything from rash guards and t-shirts to stickers and finger tape. Make sure that you check out www.impactmouthguards.com. Use the promo code Peanut Gallery in the checkout.
Now, obviously I've never had it directly down there from the source, but I'm a huge fan of Hawaiian food. Like
Mhm.
I love loco moco. I used to have a coworker from Hawaii, and anytime his wife would make it, he would bring me a plate to work.
Hey,
And oh, it was
it's
phenomenal.
awesome.
Love loco moco. I love musubi. Like I love
Hmm.
so many of these different things from Hawaiian cuisine.
Yeah.
Hawaiian coffee too. There's a place that I had out in LA. I can't remember what the name of the place was, but it was in Coconut Grove, and
Okay.
man, like it was just like it was a completely different like flavor profile from
Hmm.
other coffee that I had had, and
Yeah,
I was just like, man, like I love Hawaiian food.
it's good. Yeah. Do you put the egg on top when you get the local moco too?
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
got
gotta
to.
make sure it's extra runny. Oh yeah, it
Right,
was
that's the best, right?
yeah, delicious, delicious.
Oh,
Just the
that's
way that
awesome.
it all kind of just blended and the rice just
Oof,
absorbed perfectly. Like
ah,
I was
perfect.
like, man, like this speaks to my soul right.
It's love, right? You can feel the love in the food. It's like it's a real thing.
Definitely. And I'll be honest, like, I remember having spam like a few times as a kid, but I hadn't had it since that point. But
Hmm.
then having it again, like once I had started going to like Hawaiian restaurants, like it was like, oh my God, like I
But
forgot,
yeah.
this is like a missing gem out there. Like spam gets a bad
Oh,
reputation.
it does. It does. It's like a staple over here. I feel like everybody loves spam here.
Now, I don't know if it's actually true, but I've seen memes of it, and I just don't know if it was like photoshopped or anything
Yeah.
like that. But is it behind like in some places, is it behind like locked glass?
I feel like I've seen that, but I feel like for the most part they don't. I feel like it's usually corned beef hash. I don't know why, for some reason that is usually locked up behind more. But spam is just, yeah, they have it all over. But they've definitely had that. That was a real thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could see it making sense. Like if theft was a problem in some
Yeah.
areas, like I mean, where I grew up, like they've shut down entire grocery stores because theft was so bad. So like
Oh
I could
wow.
totally understand if there was
Oh
just like
yeah.
one item that was flying off the shelf that
Hoarding it.
you would kind of try to just lock it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know from seeing it. You never know from the internet, Joe.
Yeah,
You
right. Yeah,
you
right.
never know. Is this real? Is this Photoshop? Is this doctored up? Who knows, right?
So easy nowadays. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Now I got to ask you, as far as like Hawaiian dishes, what's your favorite?
Oh, that's hard.
What would you recommend if someone were to come to you and want to have like a local, like this is a down home Hawaiian food? What would you say?
Oh, I'm trying to think. There's a restaurant, I think it's Helena's that I go to, Hawaiian food, and they have, well, Kalua pig would be probably one of the top.
Okay,
Kalua pig. Lomi salmon is pretty good. Beef lau lau is really good. And I don't know, they might have to Google it, but it's really good. And haupia pie, which is basically coconut. It's like a coconut custard pie.
gotcha.
So
Okay,
good. Yeah, yeah. But
sound
definitely Kalua pig. That's like one of the top.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that's like one of the like signature dishes of like most Hawaiian places that you go around here.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, that aren't like offering their variation on poke bowls.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Like
that's a rough one.
Yeah. I'm sure it's nothing like the local experience,
Yeah.
or nothing like it is down there. But when I went to my first poke spot, like I had to call up one of my Hawaiian buddies and ask, like, hey, how would you order this, or how would you get this
Yeah.
prepared? Like, I don't care about getting their like house recommended like bowl or whatever. Like, I
Smart.
want to know, like, how would you get it?
Yeah. And what'd you get?
So I got a mix of the salmon and the tuna.
Oh, nice.
But then I just got like the shoyu sauce, not like the super like sugary, like doctored up like house blend sort of thing that
Mm-hmm.
they would have.
Mm.
And then I would just get it. I would get it with the white and the green onions.
Ooh.
Have the chopped macadamia nut on top of it.
Ooh.
And then depending on some places have like the octopus salad,
Yeah.
and I would get that thrown in the mix along with the seaweed salad.
Oh, that sounds good. It's a lot of toppings. I like that.
Well, my man, here over here it's just big portions. You know, it's like Chipotle. You go through these places, and I don't know. Do you have is Chipotle down there in Hawaii?
Mm-mm, not yet. I
Gotcha.
wish.
But you're familiar with the concept though, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They kind of
Yeah,
just
like
stuff it on
where
top.
you just go through and it's just like a big bowl and they just top it on, and that
Mm.
that's what it is, and it's delicious.
Oh, that sounds really good. Making me hungry now.
Definitely. Speaking of which, I always like asking this question to everybody while you're in the midst of camp, especially this being through through holidays, all of that. What is the toughest thing for you to give up when you're going through a weight cut?
Um, I mean, food. I mean, for a vague answer, but as far as pizza, I love pizza. I love like that
Pizza. Okay.
grease, pizza and alcohol. That's a hard one sometimes too, but it's good
Understand.
though. Yeah, yeah. Those are I'd say those would be the two main: pizza, alcohol, and just pretty much carbs.
Now this has an interesting local tie. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Oof, not for me.
You okay?
Yeah, some people like it though. I mean, I've had it. It's not too bad, but it's just not a preference.
I think it gets a bad rap, to be
It
completely
does.
honest.
Yeah.
I'm a kid who grew up in the 90s, and I'll be honest with you, Joey, I can't remember a birthday party or like a pizza party as a kid growing up where that wasn't one of the options. It's something
Yeah.
like there was always you had a pepperoni, like people would get a pepperoni, they would get a sausage, they would have a cheese, and then they would have a Canadian bacon and pineapple.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's definitely it's not too bad. Like I said, I feel like it does get a bad rap. There's something about that cooked pineapple that is, that little the juiciness to it when they cook it isn't too bad.
Yeah, I mean, and I get it. Some people don't like sweet with savory, but
Mhm.
for me, on the other side of things, like I'm a huge pineapple fan.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
love pineapple. It doesn't matter if it's raw, if it's grilled. I love it grilled.
Yeah.
Like just kind of that that caramelization that happens
Yeah.
to it.
I
Like
don't think I've ever,
to me, that's some of the best.
I gotta try that. I don't think I've ever had a grilled pineapple.
Yeah, grilled
Yeah.
pineapple, man.
With
Like
pineapple.
you're missing out on that. That's
Oh,
awesome. Like even if you just like if you throw it into the pan for a little bit, it just
yeah.
kind of caramelizes
Oof.
over the edges.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
That sounds good. I like
Yeah,
that.
not to make you any more hungry,
It's like
but
drooling.
let's pivot back to the fight and the matchup here. Now, what would you say what was one of the major focuses for you throughout this camp and as you're leading up into this fight as you're coming through, about another week and a half out?
As far as like strategy kind of thing.
Strategy wise, without
Oh,
going too deep into things,
yeah, yeah.
obviously, but what was like something that you thought like, okay, this is what I need to maybe not necessarily address as a weakness, but this is something that this could be my bread and butter type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say main thing would just be distance, range management. That's a big thing, I feel like, for this fight. Um, Simple shots, not trying to get too crazy, but just pretty much range management and not letting them get in too close. Yeah, for like a vague definition, not letting him get too tight because he likes to wrestle. He likes to pin take guys down, which is not too bad because I'm good on the ground too, right? So it's not really uncomfortable for me to get taken down by somebody, but more so just not letting them hold me down would be a big thing.
Exactly. No, I
Yeah,
totally get what you're saying there. I
yeah,
mean, if that's where his strongest route to victory is, and
Hmm.
you have options otherwise, why play in his court, right?
Yeah, exactly. Why make it hard?
Exactly. Now, I know that more and more it kind of throws a wrinkle into the game plan of some guys who fancy the kickboxing and who like to throw a lot of kicks. Now, with a guy who has a strong takedown game, you have to really be selective in when you throw
Mm.
those kicks and those knees, especially something that might be more of a body kick or something that's not, necessarily a low leg kick.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that something that these strong wrestlers have grown very adept at catching and being able
yeah,
to use to get that takedown from there,
yeah.
or at
Oh yeah.
least start their chain wrestling sequence to get to that grapple?
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. It's definitely like when I feel like a lot of times people just kind of throw it blindly, right? It's just kind of a reaction kick instead of actually trying to set it up. And it's like it's kind of easy to spot sometimes, especially if you're walking into it like that. And you have them on one leg, it's like they're just gonna run you down, get you on the fence if you don't set it up right.
Yep, exactly. Well, and then too, sometimes depending on what their action is, that if you throw that naked low kick, I've seen it many of occasions when at least I do a lot of commentary out here on the Front Range of Colorado for
Mm.
multiple promotions, and
Oh, nice.
I've just seen it or time and time again. Guys who don't set up that low inside kick, they throw it naked and they get
Mhm.
countered right down the chute. And I
Yeah.
mean, there's been a few of them where that becomes knockout of the night. Basically, it's
Oh
like
yeah.
15-second knockout because they
Oh
come
yeah. Yeah.
right away. They don't throw it set up, and someone just throws that counter straight down the chute,
Yeah.
and boom.
It's right there. Yeah. A lot of times you see guys, they leave their head right on that center line too. So they just come right up and it's like any straight is just gonna land right down the middle.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
sometimes you have those wrestlers who they'll use, sometimes they'll throw that overhand to set up the takedown. But
Mhm.
if they see that the chin's still right there, the guys who can control the angle of where that fist is coming in are like, oh, well, I'm just going to keep on turning the knuckles over right here. And maybe I clip something.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. If they get down low enough, they just come with that like that little short. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like that Hendo almost.
Yeah.
Like that Dan Henderson, just dip the
H
head
bomb.
down and just throw that massive bomb right across. Yeah. And I mean, it happens.
Oh yeah. Especially when you're worried about the takedown, right? It's like you start kind of dropping your hand, you start kind of just planting a little too hard, and it's like you're just wide open for that.
Definitely there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, as we come to a wrap here, Joey, is there anybody that you want to throw a shout out to? Any sponsors? Anyone along those lines?
Yeah. New Leaf CBD, New Lifespan. My manager Ed for getting me this podcast. My wife and kids for helping me in this camp. You for having me on the podcast. I appreciate it, man.
Oh
It's
yeah,
been fun.
definitely. Man, I
Yeah.
appreciate you for taking the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I love Ed. Ed's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's trying to do a lot of great things
Oh
for you
yeah.
guys out there. So
Yeah. It's
I
awesome.
anytime when he hits mine and says hey or whatever, just in general, we have a lot of just plain friendly conversation all the time. I love
Yeah.
Ed. He's a great
It's
guy.
awesome. Oh yeah. He's awesome, dude.
Now, as we wrap this thing up here in 2 sentences or less, Joey, what can fans, spectators, people out there expect to see from you when you enter the cage on December 11th?
Mm, say a very smart technical technician and just going for that, looking for the kill. If it's there, if it presents itself, that kind of, not to be a cliche, but gunning for it, looking for that finish, but calculated killing. That makes sense.
Yep, I hear you there.
Yeah,
Trying to show that technical skill off and be precise in your measures there. Now, one
exactly.
last time here, where can people follow you and what are the details as far as your fight?
808 Joe on Instagram. And the fight is Nemesis Fighting Alliance, December 11th. I believe they're gonna have a pay-per-view set up, and I'm probably gonna, once I get one, I'll probably have it in my Instagram in the bio so people can buy the pay-per-view on there.
Awesome. So, folks, make sure that you follow Joey along there and keep up with the details as far as his fight coming up along there, and also along with ECB Sports Management out there. Now, this is the Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. This episode has been brought to you by MyFit Foods of Denver. Eat fit, live fit, give fit. Go to www.myfitfoods.com. use the promo code Peanut Gallery in the checkout, and you will have yourself some savings there on the background. You can follow us along on Instagram at Comments from the Peanut Gallery. Hit that like and subscribe button on the YouTube channel there, and make sure that you're following along on our audio platforms. Try to get those boosted as well. That is Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, anywhere that you get your podcasts out there, people. Once again, this is the Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, brown skin, short legs, and fat ass. Son, that's my type, I cannot pass. Walked up, said we from Colorado, are we hanging out?